Hello, welcome to Time for Healing. I'm your host, Marion Porter. Today is the show we've all been waiting for, the show on medical marijuana with none other than Laurie Zrenda, who runs Thames Valley Relief here in Connecticut. Yay!
Yay!
It's the marijuana show. How exciting. Well, I'm so glad you're here.
Thanks for having me.
You know, did you ever think when we were little kids, like playing little pretend games, that one day we could pretend we were on a TV show?
I know. And talking about selling marijuana. Who knew?
No one would have guessed. So, selling marijuana. Yeah, so what's it like? You're running a dispensary. What's that all about?
Well, a lot of people wonder that because I get patients that come in who are very nervous, don't know what to expect. Some people walk in and say, hallelujah, I'm buying marijuana in a store. So we get all kinds of patients, all kinds of expectations and worries and anxieties when they come in. But it's really a very medical program in Connecticut. Connecticut was the first state to have pharmacists run the dispensaries. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep. You're a pharmacist.
That's right. Yep. 27 years in retail pharmacy. And when Connecticut passed the law to have a medical marijuana program, and when I heard that it had to be run by a pharmacist in the dispensary, it kind of piqued my interest.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to find out more. And along with my niece, who's also a pharmacist, we decided to try to apply for a dispensary license together.
What was that process? Did they put out a call for dispensaries, or there was an how did you even go about knowing it and applying and all of that? What was that like?
Well, when they passed the bill, I think it was 2012, if I'm not mistaken. They wanted to license growers and they wanted to license dispensaries, and it wasn't very well publicized, I don't think, because I heard about it from my neighbor who heard about it. So it kind of piqued my interest, and so I started looking online to get information. The state put out what they call an RFA, and that's basically the application. And there was a lot of parts to it because they score the applications based on merit, and they were looking at your business plan, your location, your marketing plans, your plans for how you're going to help people who have a low income and maybe can't afford the products. So there's a whole bunch of different information you had to supply to the state in the application.
Wow, it's like worse than writing a grant.
It was a couple 100 pages long. Yeah.
My God. How long did it take you to do that?
Months, yeah. I think we probably started in maybe July, and it was due in November. So it took us several months.
Wow.
Yep.
And so then you submitted it, you got approved, and then what happened? We had to wait
6 very long months, almost 6 months, with fingers crossed to find out if we won the license. Because at first, the state approved only 6 dispensaries, and we were one of the first 6 that got the license. We're located in Uncasville.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
It was like a whole new world.
And so then what happens? All of a sudden you start buying weed and selling
Well,
it?
we had to build out the space first, and we had to wait for the growers to be finished building out their spaces and having product available. So in that time, while we were building out, Meredith and I, my niece, decided to start doing as much research as we could to find out enough about the drug where we felt like we'd be helpful to people who come in. Because as a pharmacist in pharmacy, or as a student in pharmacy school, they didn't teach us about medical marijuana. So we kind of had to learn a lot on our own. And so we visited other states that have legal programs and did as much research as we could online and tried to prepare for patients coming in. And a lot of people who we first saw when we first opened kind of were already marijuana smokers, and they just wanted to do it legally. And then we had a lot of people who were kind of at the end of the rope, and they've tried all their prescription drugs and didn't know where else to turn, and decided to try the medical marijuana to see how that would go for them. So we see all kinds of different people with all kinds of different conditions.
Really? So you went to other states. So Connecticut, other states were legal before Connecticut.
Correct. Yep.
And so you went to all of those states?
Not all of them, but yeah. We visited Michigan and Colorado.
Really?
Yep.
And you just go and you see how they do it? And
We had met a couple people. We went to Chicago to a National Cannabis Industry Association convention.
what?
Yeah, where it's just basically Illinois was about to go medically legal, and so they were having a convention there for people who are interested in starting up businesses in Illinois.
My God, I love the future.
Yeah. So we visited there, and there we met people who were already in the industry in Michigan and in Colorado. So those are the people we connected with when we were there, and then we asked if we could come and visit their places. So they were very nice to host us and help us and just kind of show us what their places were like and how they had them set up and the types of products that they sold. So we just had a better idea because, we really didn't know at first.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So basically, this is looked at from a completely medical perspective.
Correct.
It's handled like medicine. This is why they wanted a pharmacist to be doing this?
Correct.
How come no other states required pharmacists?
At the time.
Just
Other
curious.
states do now, but at the time, yeah, I think Connecticut, in order to make it seem more credible maybe, or to really give the patients that confidence that these products are safe and you're going to be looked out for, somebody who can kind of look over your meds and know what you're taking and watch out for any possible interactions and that sort of thing. I just think it helped to sell it to the legislature, to have pharmacists there. All the products that we sell are lab tested and grown in a controlled environment so that there are no pesticides in the products, and they test for potency and for contamination before it comes to us. So it's treated a lot like a prescription drug.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So they're growing it, they're turning it into different forms.
Correct.
So what are some of those forms?
So we have the regular buds of the plant, good old-fashioned marijuana you'd grind up and smoke in a pipe or a bong or roll a joint or whatever. We sell the pre-rolled joints, so you can buy it in cigarette form if you want. Then there's vape pens, like electronic cigarettes.
There's a lot that can we just take a little bit and chat about that? Because those vape pens, that's in the news quite a bit right now as being harmful.
Yeah. A lot of the patients who've gotten sick or died from the vaping illness were using illicit drug, bought off the street. And heaven knows what people were putting in those cartridges. But the CDC actually just came out with a statement a few days ago that said that they had tested the tissue from a lot of the people who had deceased, and they all had vitamin E acetate in them, which is an additive that some people put into the oil cartridges.
Vitamin E, though, isn't that a good thing for you?
Well, not to inhale, apparently.
Because
but that's the one common thread that a lot of the people who got sick seem to have. There's no 100% guarantee that it's not something else also, but that's what the CDC's come up with, at least for now, that we've heard.
Well, that actually, I want to skip real quick to another topic because this opens that up. So, those were in cartridges that were illegal, not the medicinal.
Right.
So that opens up. I mean, is it better to get it from a medical dispensary as opposed to like a recreational place? Is this different than recreational?
Every state's different with their testing laws. So
But
in some states where it's recreational, I don't know the laws in Oregon and California and Massachusetts. I'm not 100% positive what their testing laws are. But in Connecticut, everything that goes through our medical program is tested. So at least we have that, safety net where we can feel confident that the products are safe.
So the ones that are making people sick, illegal, like, what you used to back in the day get from someone on a corner, or would it be a recreational use one? What's the difference between recreational grade and medical grade? I guess is really what I'm looking for.
If a product's sold in a dispensary in a state that licensed that dispensary to sell product, each state has their own laws about testing. So I can't say that every dispensary product has been tested because I don't honestly know from other states. But illegally purchased ones where it's somebody out there making products from homegrown stuff,
I see.
they could be putting heaven knows what in there. It could be laced with all kinds of things. So that's where it gets scary.
Yeah, yeah. You definitely want to know what you're getting.
Yep.
It's a whole new world, that you can go to the store for it now. Is there a difference? So some dispensaries have like a medical side and they have a recreational side.
Right.
Is there a difference between the products?
Well, in Connecticut, I can't say because we don't have a recreational side yet. In Colorado, when I visited, they would have 2 doors you would go into. And one if you had a medical card and you were a patient, the other door you'd go into if you wanted to buy recreational. I think they used a little less potent products in the recreational side and some higher potency products on the medical side. I know in Massachusetts, at least, I've heard that the products have to be available medically, and then anything extra could be sold recreationally. Like they didn't want the medical program to suffer and by not having supply. And because we don't have a recreational program in Connecticut, I really, again, every state's different in how they do it. But
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. But look where we are in 2019, almost 2020.
Yep.
So fascinating. So what were some of the other forms besides the vaping that it comes in?
So yeah, you got your inhalation products like smoking and vaping. Then there's the oral products, capsules, cookies, there's honey, there's tea, all these different things that you can actually swallow and ingest. And then there are things you can use sublingually under the tongue, liquid drops, mint strips, and sprays. And that's especially nice for patients with cancer who are nauseous and you just don't want to swallow something when you're feeling nauseous, or smoking something maybe when you don't feel well. You can just stick it under your tongue and it gets absorbed that way.
That's amazing that there's so many ways.
Oh yeah, we probably have a couple hundred products on our menu.
Really?
Yeah.
And so how do they it's dizzying.
Yeah.
So cookies and things, you said?
Right. Yep, all different strengths. So patients will start out with a low dose just to see how they do, because if you can get away with a low dose, it won't cost you so much. And then if a low dose doesn't do the trick, you can always increase it a little bit at a time until you find the dose that works the best for you. So some cookies might be 20 milligrams, but you might start with a quarter of a cookie just to test it out.
So a little bite.
Yeah, and you have to be patient because it takes longer to kick in. So some people will make the mistake of, having that quarter of a cookie, and then 15 minutes later they're thinking this isn't working, and they start eating more and more. But it takes a good hour and a half before you can start to feel it, when it has to go through your digestive system and get absorbed. So it takes longer. So some people overdo it by not being patient.
You could eat that whole cookie and
yeah, it might be too much for some people.
Oh dear.
So you do have to start slow and work your way up. And that way people who are nervous can feel confident that I'm going to be okay because I'm starting with a low dose and I'm in control of increasing the dose when I feel comfortable.
Wow. So to get a medical card, what does somebody have to go through?
So everything goes through a doctor. Because it's a federally illegal drug, doctors can't write a prescription for it. So, because they have a federal license and they can't order an illegal drug. So instead of ordering the drug, all they're doing is verifying the diagnosis and telling the state, hey, I have this patient, they have cancer, want to sign them up to get a card. And so they register the patient online, and then the state will send the patient an online application to fill out. And then the state will review the application and send them a card. So the doctors have to just verify that they have one of the 30-something diagnoses that are allowed to use medical marijuana in Connecticut.
And there's a cost for doing all of this, right?
Correct. The state has a $100 application fee that they charge.
Wow.
Yep.
And is there a charge that you have to pay a doctor too? Or?
It depends. Yeah. So the way the state wrote the regulations is that any doctor or APRN, which is an advanced practice nurse, can register a patient for the program. In the beginning, 5 years ago, not a lot of doctors were very comfortable doing that because it was a new program. A lot of doctors didn't know a lot about the drug and how the program worked, and there was a lot of nervousness there on their part, I think. So what happened is little offices started popping up, doctors hanging out their shingle and saying, hey, if you want a card, come and see me. Because you might ask your regular doctor, hey, register me for a card, and they might say, no, I don't want to do that.
So any doctor can do it?
Any doctor can in Connecticut, right. But if your doctor doesn't want to or isn't comfortable with it, There's doctors out there who are seeing patients. They usually require that you bring a letter or some proof of your condition from your regular doctor. But once they know you have that diagnosis, they'll visit with you, kind of do a quick checkup, and then they'll register you for the program.
So
but they charge another fee. So
yeah,
it's always better to have your own doctor do it, because most likely if they're following you, and that's really the way the state intended it to be, that your own doctor would register you, they'd follow you, and they'd, you know, keep an eye on you while you're going through trying these different products. And so it's always better to have your own doctor do it, because chances are they're not going to charge you a couple $100s to get your card like these other offices will.
Okay, so once someone has a card and they have one of the qualifying diagnoses, what are just a few of those diagnoses? We don't need to go into all of them.
Yeah,
but,
I'll try to rattle off a few.
Yeah.
Cancer, post-traumatic stress disorder, epilepsy, different types of neuropathies, patients who've had laminectomy, which is a surgery on the back, or people with psoriatic arthritis and psoriasis, rheumatoid arthritis.
Psoriasis?
Yeah. Yep.
How does it help psoriasis?
Yeah, we have creams
You
and
smoke it
lotions.
Wait,
Yep.
creams and
Yep.
I love the future. There's marijuana creams and lotions?
Yep, it really does make a difference. And some people have used oral products too, and it's actually helped to clear up their psoriasis.
Really?
Yep.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, so let's just say someone's now got their card and they're coming to you. What happens from there?
Yep. So we always we require in our store that every new patient comes in, makes an appointment with a pharmacist. So we set aside a half hour for each new patient to kind of go over all the different types of strains, all the different types of products, what they're looking to treat, what their goals are, check out their basically their prescription list, and just to make sure we kind of guide them in the right direction of what products to try. And the menu's overwhelming with so many products on it, and sometimes people just need a little push in the right direction in the beginning, just to suggest what they should try. And then it's up to them though to pick any product that they want. So you can try different things, because each product can be made with a different strain, and you might find one works way better than another just because the plant source was different.
Now, strains, how many strains are there?
Hundreds, yeah. I mean, they keep crossbreeding the plants and creating new strains. So it's really limitless how many there possibly could be, but.
So how do you know which is the one?
Yeah,
How do you
different.
find which strain? Like what's a strain or two that people might know?
Out in the world, every plant has a name. Back in the 60s, it might have been Thai stick or Colombian gold or Acapulco gold. A lot of people know those names. Nowadays, there's popular strains like Sour Diesel or Blue Dream, but we can't, in Connecticut, we don't call them by their common street names.
Why?
The state wanted it to be a medical, professional, pharmaceutical type program, and a lot of the strain names are either wacky or have swears in them, and it just didn't sound like an appropriate name for a medicine. So the state requires that the growers rename the strain to something else. So we has it almost like a brand name and a generic name, where the brand name is the name the growers give it, and the generic name is the street name of the plant.
Oh wow, that's really cool.
So if someone had come in and said, I went to Colorado and I tried Blue Dream, do you have that? I could tell them what the Connecticut name is for that, or what we call it here, but it's not going to be called Blue Dream on the menu.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've come in, just say, or someone's come in, you've gone over, now what happens? They decide.
So then they can go, once they've met with the pharmacist, kind of give them a good idea of what their choices are, then they can go inside and make their first purchase. And patients are allowed to purchase up to 2.5 ounces in 30 days, which is a lot. You'd probably have to spend $1,200 to $1,400 a month to hit that limit, but most people don't need that much. I have people who only spend $50 a week. I have people who will spend $300 a week. It's crazy, the variety of people who, come in, what their needs are. Everyone needs different doses. It's, you can't really predict what it's going to cost, but they go in, they try a few things, they can come back anytime, walk in and out whenever they feel like making a purchase, and try different things until they kind of find what they really love.
Wow. So how do you know if you want it, like, to smoke it, or to have it in a lotion, or to eat a cookie, or what some drops under the tongue, or pills? How do you know which one is gonna work better?
Sometimes it's experimenting, but sometimes it's what you have in mind. Like, some people don't want to smoke. They don't want to have that risk of lung issues or whatever. Or some people tell me, I take 10 pills a day, I don't want another pill, I want something else. So it's really personal preference. One thing we try to make sure they understand is that when you inhale it, you feel it pretty quickly. But it wears off in 2 or 3 hours. It doesn't last long, the effect. So if you have chronic pain, let's say, and you want to be pain-free all day, you'd have to be inhaling maybe every 3 hours, which can be cumbersome if you've got things to do. So, that's, in that case, an oral product might be better, because
nobody should be too busy that they don't have time to smoke.
Some people might feel that way, but an oral product, a capsule, or throwing a little honey in your tea in the morning or something, that can kick in about an hour and last for 8 hours. So you don't have to dose it as often. So sometimes, what product they choose depends on that sort of thing. Or what are they treating? If it's a panic attack, let's say, you want that quick onset of the inhaling. You want to get it in your bloodstream as quick as you can, because you want to calm down quickly because you're having a panic attack. So you don't want to wait an hour for a pill to kick in. So it can depend on the condition and what symptoms the person's trying to treat, as far as what product to choose too.
Real quick, I kind of want to talk about the difference between marijuana and CBD oil. There's an awful lot you're hearing about this CBD oil. And what's the difference there?
So CBD stands for cannabidiol. It's a molecule that's found in the hemp plant, and it's found in the marijuana plant.
They both have it.
Right. CBD, some strains have more than others. I mean, there's some strains have more CBD than others in marijuana. Some strains don't have much at all. Some strains have a lot. So every plant is different. But in hemp, it's predominantly CBD, and THC is in really very low numbers in hemp, so it's almost undetectable. So for hemp to be able to be produced now, with the Farm Bill that just passed, now people can create hemp products, and it's legal. CBD is being extracted and put into products because CBD itself is a good pain reliever. It helps with anxiety. It helps some people sleep. So it has some of the same qualities as the THC, which is in the marijuana plant. THC is the component of the plant that makes you high, but it's also part of the marijuana that has a lot of medicinal value too. It can help some people with pain, or it could help with anxiety and that sort of thing too. Good anti-inflammatory. So a combination of CBD and THC on the medical marijuana side is really nice for pain, because you've got 2 ingredients that can help you with pain.
Wow.
But with CBD, with just coming from hemp, the tricky part there is it's a very unregulated market. There's nobody overseeing hemp. So someone could label a bottle of olive oil and say it's got so much CBD in it. There's nobody watching out for that. So you have to be careful where you're sourcing your CBD from. If you're going to buy it, make sure you're buying it from a place that can show you lab testing for it. How much CBD was in that product, and other ingredients. And so if you're not buying it from a place where they're buying tested product, then don't buy it.
So not at the gas station?
Probably not. Yeah. I don't know. Every gas station could be different in what brands they carry, but you're safer buying it from a more reliable source where they actually can show you the lab testing.
So I bet you there's just a lot of rewarding stories that you have, or success stories from running the dispensary, as opposed to handing out people's pills at a pharmacy, huh?
Yep. Nobody at the pharmacy ever hugged me and said, "Thank you for changing my life."
So this is changing people's lives.
Oh, yeah.
This medicine, how?
Yeah.
So that's just, it's amazing, everybody is just like, well, maybe not now, but marijuana was just like this terrible thing, the whole war on drugs thing now, and now it's being used to heal or treat conditions.
Yep. It was misunderstood for a long time, and it's hard. There's a lot of history behind why it became illegal, but it's a very safe drug. It's very non-toxic. No one's ever died of a marijuana overdosage in the history of mankind. So, you could die from too much alcohol. So, there's a lot of arguments about that in the recreational side of things, that it's safer than alcohol, so why not, and all that stuff. But, everything in moderation, everything, being aware of when you're impaired, when you're not. It just takes common sense when you're using it. Everything can be abused, but hopefully people are being responsible and just treating and using what they need.
It's amazing. So you're just loving running the dispensary.
Yeah. There's days you could just cry because of things that people will tell you. I had a young kid tell me once I didn't have a job, I couldn't go out, because of the anxiety from the PTSD, and he's, now he has a job and he's living his life and he's going about a normal life, which is just awesome. You hate to think of somebody that young not living, or I had one lady who was coming in for nausea because of her chemo that she was going through. But she had such crippling arthritis, her hands were all, bent up. But one day she came in, look at my hands, because it's such a good anti-inflammatory that as a side effect, it helped her arthritis, even though she was really using it because she was nauseous. So
oh my God.
Yeah, there's just so many really neat things.
And people paint such a terrible picture of people who are using marijuana, just sitting around doing nothing, playing video games, if you will.
Yeah, we see people now who are born in the year 2000, because you have to be 18. We do have some pediatric conditions. The state does allow certain pediatric patients to use it, but we see the 18-year-olds, we see the 95-year-olds. We have such a range of patients that we see and such a range of conditions.
Amazing. I think I read something that senior citizens are the fastest growing group of people using it.
Absolutely, because with the opioid crisis and everything, and people who do have pain, they're getting cut back by their doctors on the amount of drugs they're getting prescribed. They have to do something to handle their pain, and this is just a natural, normal kind of alternative for people to try.
So this can help people who are struggling with opioid addictions?
Every case is different. I did have one guy tell me he would never have got off his heroin if he didn't have marijuana, because it just took the edge off the withdrawal symptoms for him. Wow. That's just one story, and everyone's different. We can't draw conclusions, I'm sure, but I think it's helpful.
Amazing. I can't believe how things have changed just overnight, almost. We've come to the end of this part of this show. So thank you very much for watching this episode of Time for Healing. We are going to continue this conversation next month. This is such a fascinating topic, and we've barely even touched on it. So stay tuned for next month's show, where we take a deep dive into the world of medical marijuana. All right. Thank you very much. We'll see you next month.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.